All right. So awesome. Great. All right. So thank you for having me for this interview, Maria, or coming for this interview. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Montañera, who has recently released her new album, her new single album, Flor de Piel, which has garnered great success from and critical success from Pitchfork and The Guardian. And yeah, how are you doing, Maria?
I'm good, thanks, Parker. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I released my album like 3 months ago, and yeah, very excited to talk about it, to keep on like talking about the process and uh yeah, just giving my perspective on how I did this music, and hopefully more people can listen to it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. One question I do want to ask is, what inspired you to create this new album, A Flor de Piel? Like, what were you looking for inspiration?
Well, I think the inspiration came mainly by exploring with my synth, because it was
Hmm.
during pandemic that I started creating the album. So I was well, during lockdown I was new in London, so I was just pretty much in my room with my synth and just exploring the synth, exploring, yeah, just the amazing sounds it could give. And the song started to come through the synth, basically, through exploring textures. And then I started doing the melodies and like thinking how could the production sound like for each of the songs. And then I guess I was also very inspired in nature and in making music that would like nurture myself throughout the pandemic and throughout like a personal process that I was living like on about settling in into a new country, a new city. So yeah, I guess I wanted to make some music that would like soothe me and
Yeah,
hopefully soothe others, I guess. But yeah, pretty much like during the lockdown, the whole idea started to arise and to come to life.
hmm yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Um, this is not your first solo endeavor. You have two previous projects, um,
Mhm.
Encarnacion and Salvadora. How do you feel like you've evolved creatively, through the process of these three albums?
Well, I guess each album is very different, and I was trying to explore different things in each of the albums. This one is probably the most experimental one I've done to the day, and yeah, I guess they just show different sides of myself as an artist and as a composer. The first album is actually a bit more acoustic, more like with a band format, so like the uh, drum kit and bass and guitar, and like a bit more conventional and traditional, let's say. The second album is a bit more towards the electronic side,
Mm-hmm.
and then this one is completely on the
Yeah.
electronic side of things, although in a very experimental way and like ambient way as well. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to like take the risk of doing an album that was completely on that side of like the spectrum sonically. And I wanted to make an album that didn't have much beats, that didn't have much rhythm necessarily, but maybe a bit more textural and atmospheric and like um maybe like trance-like music but without rhythm. So
Mhm.
that was like also one of the ideas I was seeking through the album.
Yeah. Yeah. When listening to it, I feel like you're drawing from a lot of different kind of genres, like ambient and electronic, but also like with your singing is like more soulful. Where do you think you're getting your heaviest inspiration from? Whether that's a genre or a person or a piece of work. Where do you yeah what do you listen to, or what do you attributed to this?
Well, I guess I get inspired by many, many things, just,
Mhm.
life itself, by experiences I have and by, all of the things that we're living individually, collectively. So I guess the main point where I started making this album was just going through this very personal process of moving to a new city and just exploring, just being here, but at the same time being in the pandemic and in the lockdown. So I guess I was very immersed, like in my own self, and I was listening to a lot of music. So I was very inspired by ambient music, also by mantras. I love mantras and like ragas and Indian classical music. So I was listening a lot to that. So music that was very meditative, but maybe not like in the straightforward sense of the word.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
also ragas and all of this, but also other type of music that is probably not necessarily linked to like meditation, like maybe electronics, experimental electronics. But for me, all of this music, like and genres, started to become like a source for just yeah keeping calm and relaxed during like the whole process of pandemic, and I was studying as well at the time. So yeah, it was just a very particular moment in my life, and where I think music really gained a lot of importance and relevance. Um, Not only as a composer and songwriter, but just as a listener. So I was just there listening to a lot of music and trying to understand, yeah, what message I wanted to carry in my music, not only for others, but I guess for my own self, whilst I was composing, and also like just when I would be on stage performing this type of music, when I would be releasing this type of music, I wanted like a very specific thing, which I guess it was like a introspective kind of music, um, that would combine like dark elements with like more lighter elements. So I
Hmm.
guess I'm always very inspired in those like in those like like in all the spectrum of like lightness to dark. I guess I'm very inspired like in things that combine the two, the two
Yeah.
extremes of
Yeah.
the spectrum. um yeah, so that also was a very important part of the inspiration of making this album. And I guess I'm always looking for inspiration everywhere, really, like in works of art, music,
Hmm.
people, conversations I have, books, like everywhere. I'm always, looking for inspiration. And in that time, it was a bit complicated because we were all isolating. So
Yeah.
music,
Yeah.
music became that, that source where I could really tap into and get inspired. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed one thing you said that kind of popped out to me was you were saying that you have to you what do you're trying to figure out what you want to make that you want other people to listen to, but also something that will make you happy at the same time. So like I love to ask artists about that question, like the kind of like the juxtaposition of like, are you making the art for like listeners and for people to listen to it, or are you really making it for yourself, or is it kind of like a melding between the two? And how does that work for you?
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been asking that same question to myself throughout all of these years that I've been making music. And I guess at a certain point of, I guess I'm like balancing between the, between the answers as well. But in
Yeah,
this point of my career, I guess I'm more towards the side of I wanted to make music that made me happy and fulfilled, and that I could actually like express everything I wanted to express, even though it would be a bit weird or a bit too, underground or whatever. I
yeah,
was like, I'm just gonna go for it, and I'm just gonna go and do something that is very particular and very like, yeah, it's the album that I've done that is most, experimental, let's say.
mm,
So, but I fully like vibe with the fact that, of course, I want people to listen to my music and to connect with my music. So it's kind of like, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I guess when you do music that,
take it easy. Have a good rest of your day.
yeah, thank you.